Greetings, online investors, and welcome to another investor presentation from the Online Investment Conference. I'm Peter Norman, founder of the OIC, where our goal is providing you with investment ideas worth watching. We've got another great idea to present to you today. Golden Cariboo Resources is a junior exploration company dedicated to rediscovering the California gold rush by advancing high-grade targeted drilling and trenching programs on its Quesnelle Gold Quartz mine project in British Columbia. Frank Callaghan is CEO of Golden Cariboo Resources and joins us here today to present the story. Welcome, Frank.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me. Hello, I'm Frank Callaghan, and I'm here to tell you about Golden Cariboo Resources. Golden Cariboo has a project in central British Columbia in a town called Hickson, which is halfway between Quesnelle, British Columbia, and Prince George, British Columbia. This is the forward-looking statement portion, which we're obligated to tell all of our viewers of what's going on. The project itself is 4 kilometers northeast of the town of Hickson, which is in central British Columbia. It's road accessible. The project was first discovered back in 1865 when the placer miners there were searching for gold. And what they did is they sunk a shaft on a vein. And in doing so, they went through the vein and into a rock type that hadn't been really recognized before. Mind you, in that camp it had not, but in certain parts of Canada between Timmins and Val-d'Or, this rock type produced in excess of 300 million ounces of gold. This is what's led us to be in this camp. Hickson itself is an interesting property. It's produced in excess of 2 million ounces of gold in placer mining. We own the property 100%. It's 3,800 hectares. It includes the historic mine of Quesnelle, the Quesnelle Quartz mine, which was one of the first mines to go into production in British Columbia. It's one of the first 3 companies ever to be incorporated in the province of British Columbia. And it's one of the first companies to actually sink a shaft in the province of British Columbia. And they sunk a shaft pursuing quartz vein mining, then on passing up on placer production. Cisco has acquired all of the ground contiguous to our property, some 20 kilometers to the north and to the south of the property. On this slide, you'll see the town of Wells, which is the center of our previous project, Barkerville Gold Mines, which was taken over by Cisco Royalties. They purchased the company for $330 million and have since then spent another additional $600 million on verifying all of the work that we have done. Their current resource is sitting at about 6 million ounces, to confirm pretty much what we reported, and that will start production in the third quarter of this year. All the permitting and so on is all in place. It's going to start out, I believe, around 4,000 tons a day as their expected production. We've staked ground up north here. It was staked by former staff members. And what's interesting is staff recognized that in prospecting on the property that they'd recognized rocks from our discovery back down here in the Bonanza Ledge portion of the property. We made a discovery, and what's significant and makes it a discovery is we found gold in a rock formation that had not been recognized as being gold bearing before. That's the significance of a discovery. In this case, this is pretty much the same. The interesting thing about it is, though, it's not a long strike as you may think that this is the strike. The strike actually runs more north and south, and this is in a parallel trend. You're not seeing this on a geology map, but you're seeing it more on a plan map, or more of a road map, actually. And so within this property here is where we've been focused as of late. And the reason that we are doing so is back in 1865, the old timers, when they sunk a shaft on a vein, they went through the vein itself and into the rock formation, pretty much like what we discovered back down here in Bonanza Ledge. Unbeknownst to them, they couldn't do much with it. It was a disseminated type gold encapsulated in pyrite. And as cyanide wasn't developed till the 1920s, they couldn't do very much with it. So they carried on just mining on their quartz veins, and all of this became waste rock. In the 1970s, the government of British Columbia took it upon themselves to take all of these different properties throughout the province of British Columbia. They'd go and bulldozed all of these old mines all over and leveled all the property and did some tree planting and so on. This was one of those properties where that was done. And when the staff was out walking the property, the ground, they recognized these rocks that they'd seen some 20 years earlier when we'd made the discovery, but didn't know where they had come from. When they put together a report and sent me a report to read, in reading the report, and they assembled all of this information from the museum, not from a library, but yet from the museum, and putting it all together, and in me reading the summary report and realizing that they'd sunk a shaft on a greenstone contact, it tweaked my ears. As I'd mentioned earlier, all of the great mines in the world are on a greenstone contact. In particular, the rocks here are quite similar to what we see, as I'd mentioned possibly earlier, between Timmins and Val-d'Or. Production there is some in excess of 300 million ounces. These rocks are younger in age, but similar. It's because of that I actually took an interest in it and came out of retirement in January of this year, and to pursue this based on current drill results that they've just reported. It's because of that I'm sort of really focused on this project now. As you can see on this slide, the darker gray is what Osisko Development has, and the yellow portion is the company's property. The gray portion is Osisko Development. Once they'd realized that we had put together this land package up here, they staked 20 kilometers to the north and south of us on 3 sides. So we're completely circled by Osisko Development, and we're quite pleased about it as we're surrounded ourselves with a great neighbor who actually purchased our previous company. Okay, on this slide, you'll see that there's a number of 4 drill holes that have been put in 2022 and 23. We received the results for 23 in January of 24, and it was because of those results that we received that I decided to come out of retirement and pursue this. We received some very significant intercepts that were running in excess of 1 gram gold over near 100 feet was the intercept, or better than 30 meters. What we had done different that others had done is, rather than drilling perpendicular to the greenstone contact, we're drilling parallel to it and would cross over into the greenstone contact and into they refers to it as a sericitic unit or a phyllite. And it was there that we started getting the really good gold intercepts that hadn't been seen by others before. And that was sort of the significance of a discovery in this camp. The size of the property is 3,800 hectares. It's centrally located in a good mining district that's an approved mining district. You don't have to worry about ownership here of the property. It's a historic mine. It was initially discovered and went into production in 1865. We've started our drill program. This is the second drill program on the property that we've done, and it's progressing quite well. Consolidated ownership of the camp. We've put it all together. We have no royalties to anyone. My 30-year experience in leveraging 160 years of history in this mining camp, we hope to expand this further and put a third mine into production. We are looking for a multi-million ounce deposit. We've found them before. We are really hoping that we can do this again. Having working on this greenstone contact has just added an awful lot of potential to the camp that really hasn't been recognized here before. So it's got a lot of potential. We anticipate at the end of this field season that we'll complete a new 43-101 on the property. And in it, we may have a maiden resource. It could be premature saying that, but we hope to have something to share to the shareholders. This year's season's work has led to something significant. The company itself, although we've had possession of the company since early 2000, the early shareholders of Golden Cariboo was set up as a real estate company where they acquired all of the ground south of the town of Barkerville. It was then the asset was morphed into Barkerville Gold Mines. We've since just kept the company on the back shelf and kept it alive looking for a project until this came along. So the current issued and outstanding is 38.7 million shares, and there's over 3.5 million shares are in options. Then there's another 16 million in warrants, and all the warrants are in the money at present. So we have a fully diluted company of some 58 million shares. For a company of this market cap, this is very little. There's an awful lot of potential here. In talking about the team, I've been involved in this camp since 1994, so that's 30 years this year. Tom Kennedy has been with me pretty much most of that time. Andrew Reese has been with me since the very beginning in this camp, and Lawrence and Glenn are also new additions to the team and very much appreciated. We are all collectively focused on making this into another mine. This will be my third mine into this camp, one out of a discovery and one we purchased out of receivership, the QR mine. And we're looking forward to growing shareholder value and putting another mine into production in British Columbia.
Frank, outstanding presentation. You really know your stuff. And as you mentioned, you've already done it twice before, so you know the potential of a company project and the value that can be created. Let's delve into a few questions. You came out of retirement to get this project going. What got you so excited about it?
I came out of retirement because staff had recognized gold similar to what we found when we discovered Bonanza Ledge back in 2000, whereby we found gold in a rock formation that hadn't been recognized as being gold bearing before. We'd seen it here, and this is the same sort of rock type that is seen between Timmins and Val-d'Or that's had production of in excess of 300 million ounces.
You mentioned you've done this a couple of times before. Where were the other two mines you put into production located?
Well, the first mine is we made the discovery in the spring of 2000 when we discovered Bonanza Ledge, and it would take from 2000 to 2014 for us to pour the first gold bar. That was 2014. In 2010, we acquired out of receivership the QR mine and mill, and we put that back into production as well. So simultaneously, we had both the QR and Bonanza Ledge into production. Those were the two mines that I previously put into production.
Why did Osisko stake all the ground around you at Quesnelle?
In all their wisdom, Osisko Royalties, having put the Malartic mine, which is probably one of the, if not the largest mine in Canada in production, it's on a greenstone contact. And all of the great mines in Canada, from whether it be from Timmins to Val-d'Or, are on a greenstone contact. When staff first recognized that the Quesnelle Gold Quartz mine was actually on a greenstone contact is what tweaked my interest. And once we actually staked all this ground and we purchased this off of staff, I believe that it was recognized by Osisko that we were on this contact, that they then in turn went and staked all the ground some 20 kilometers to the north and south of us on three sides.
That concludes our question period and our presentation for today. And Frank, before we bring this session to a close, for your final remarks, why not summarize for investors why they should invest in Golden Cariboo Resources?
We own the property 100%. There's no NSR payable to anyone. Although the property has been around for a very long time, it's very little exploration has ever been done on it, just because of fractured ownership over the years. The blue sky potential is just enormous, having very, very little exploration done on it. It's a proven historic mining camp. There's a number of mines going from down to the Caribou Hudson mine all the way up to where the other end, the book end of the property. The property has just recently been recognized by Osisko Development as being in the right rocks, as they've got their previous owner, Osisko Royalties, having put the Malartic mine, which is probably the largest mine in Canada, into production. The grade there is less than a gram, and yet it's still the largest mine in Canada, and it's on a greenstone contact. And they recognize that we're on a greenstone contact, and for that reason alone, I believe they've gone and staked 20 kilometers to the north and south of us. The grades here, excellent grades, pretty much similar to the grades that are being shown on Osisko Development's current 43-101 that they've reported. Mention this one more time, they took us out for $330 million. I can't say that enough. The management team is the same management team that developed that project. And as far as insiders go, I currently control or have in excess of 20% of the company. And I really believe in this project. It's very early stages, and I encourage all of you to join me and build another mine, my third mine in the province of British Columbia and in this neighborhood. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to my presentation. Look forward to hearing from you. Call anytime for questions, please. My phone's always on.